Hi everyone, I just wanted to do kind of an impromptu type of video about the scapegoat versus the golden child. And if you were raised in a narcissistic family, a lot of these things will sound familiar to you. I had a commenter that suggested doing a video on this, so thank you for that. I'm doing this just for you. It's going to be a brief one, and I will do a longer one later. So basically, if you were the scapegoat, you were the one that was always the one made out to be, they kind of gave you this role of being the responsible one, the one that they can always use more. And in my case, because I always like to give examples, in my case, as I was growing up, I did a lot for my mother, who was is a narcissist, for her parents, my grandparents, which I did not mind. I did it from my heart. I would help out with taking them to doctor's appointments. My grandfather did dialysis, kidney dialysis 3 times a week, so I would help out with that. I would take him to emergency appointments at the hospital. I would do their grocery shopping and so forth. Also, I was the one that would always clean the house at my parents' house that I grew up in, for a very small amount, considering what I used to do, because I used to go above and beyond, thinking I was being helpful, wanting to do a good job. I also am kind of like a clean freak myself, so it was something that I didn't mind doing. And I just looking back, I know I was basically used. For instance, because fast forward into the future, my brother's girlfriend at the time, just within the last couple of years, had asked my mom, or again even this last year, had asked my mom, how did you keep up with this house with cleaning? Because it was my dad built the house, so it was a bigger house, and not a mansion by any means, but it was a bigger house that he had built, beautiful home. And we had our own issues, he and I, but she basically was not saying anything that I had ever even pitched in and you know, did back then. So I spoke up and I had said, well, I was the one that did the deep cleaning, like the scrubbing the showers, the 3 toilets, washing the floors in the bathrooms, and cleaning ceiling fans and windowsills, those sorts of things, cleaning the railings going up the stairs. My mother made me look like the biggest liar, and it turned into like it feeling very uncomfortable. I could not understand why she wouldn't acknowledge or admit that I did anything. Back then, for years growing up, I did this. And she told me later, when it was just her and I, that I made her look lazy. And she couldn't believe that I had told my brother's girlfriend that I did the bulk of the cleaning, because she used to sweep and wash the floors and do laundry, those type of light activities, the daily maintenance stuff that a wife does when she's, especially a stay-at-home wife, and didn't work. I was baffled by this, but should I have really been? No. I just was shocked that she would even stoop to that level, to not admit it, because if I don't have children, so my niece is like a child to me. If my niece had helped me with cleaning and somebody was saying, how did you manage all this? I would be like, oh, well, she's been my little helper, blah, blah, blah. I would have never made her look like a liar if she finally spoke up and said that she did a lot of the deep cleaning stuff. So that's one example. Also, the golden child, who was my brother, could never do anything wrong. He is always put on a pedestal. And like the slightest little thing he will do as a favor throughout the years for my parents, my mother would constantly throw it in my face, until I started sticking up for myself and saying all the stuff that I was doing just naturally. I didn't know it was a competition, but I did so much that there was no comparison at all. But she was using it as a way to get more out of me. And that's what narcissistic parents do to the scapegoat. They want to make sure they always have their thumb over their head, and they always are getting more out of them. They will never get acknowledged for doing anything. They will never get any credit for doing anything. And you will always feel like everything you have ever done for them is basically forgotten about, didn't stand for anything, didn't matter to them at all. It was never good enough. I even had noticed throughout the years, if I give her a gift, I never know what the heck happens to the gift, but if my brother gives her a gift, it's on display. It's put where everybody can see it. Even if it looks ridiculous, it is proudly put on display. So if you're dealing with these sorts of things, just know you're not alone, and you were raised in a narcissistic family, and if you're coming across this video, obviously you've already been researching and trying to figure out why you're feeling this way. I would suggest distancing yourself if possible, if you're old enough, and moving out as soon as possible if you're younger and you're still living with your parents, because I was one of those late bloomers that stayed way too long, and as soon as I moved out, the happier I was, but I was still trauma bonded, so I was still always trying to go out with my mom once a week, arguing with her, bickering, we always butt heads. I just always felt like no matter what, nothing was ever good enough. And if I wanted to go out to eat somewhere, she always picked the opposite place. Then when I'd finally say yes to that place, she wanted to go back to the other place. There's something obviously mentally off with these sorts of narcissistic mothers that they know when to have the mask on and look normal in front of people. They know, like, I'm sure, going back to that story that I just explained, when I finally spoke up and said all the deep cleaning that I used to do monthly at that house growing up as a teenager, I think my brother's girlfriend at that time thought that I was probably the crazy one. I don't know, wondering why I was even saying that, if I was lying. Or maybe she kind of knew by that point, because she got to see how crazy the family was. So I don't know. I can't speak for her. I'm just thinking it made me feel foolish and look stupid, and here to find out later, again, it was because my mom thought that made her look lazy, like she didn't do anything. So again, you're never going to please these people. I would love to hear some of your stories, what you were raised with. I always babied my brother, so my mom would always say that I was jealous of him, which nobody can understand that statement at all. I always babied my brother. I was always the one that talked hours on the phone to him whenever he was going through breakups. He lived at my house for 7 months. I cooked, I did laundry for him. When he was a little kid and broke his collarbone, looking back, I wonder why my mom wasn't cradling him in the back seat. It was me that was cradling him in the back seat, trying to sing while he was bleeding. And also when he broke his teeth with the pogo, are they called pogo sticks? I think it was called a pogo stick, but I'm not sure. But anyways, I'm thinking back, why wasn't my mom sitting in the back doing that with him? But she has always babied him in other ways. But I don't think she has that maternal instinct. I don't think that narcissistic mothers have that. I have more of a maternal instinct with my dog that I still have, who just turned 4. Cute little pit bull, maybe mixed with lab. Anyways, I'll show videos of her in time. But yes, I just can't understand it. And my dad allowed child abuse to happen, my mom allowed child abuse to happen to me. My dad was physically abusive, and my mom never left him, so I always felt like I was unprotected. So I don't feel that bond with her. I tried working on the relationship throughout the years. Basically, it's impossible. And even at my age now, in my mid-40s, it's literally impossible to have a strong relationship with her. I keep it distanced. It works better for me. And I suggest, again, whoever has gone through this or is going through this, as soon as you can, just try and distance yourself. Move on with your life. Be happy. And you will see blessings come to you the sooner you get away from these sorts of families. So that's it for now. I promise to go in more of a in-depth YouTube video in the near future, and I thank the commenter who suggested this video. I thank you for that, and I hope that this helped a little bit or seemed familiar, and I would love to hear some of your stories. If you want to email me or if you want to put it in the comments, that would be great. Anyways, I wish everybody a wonderful day, and I look forward to doing another video in the near future. Bye-bye.